Good morning, and welcome to Making Sense of It. I am Mona Duncan, your moderator, and this program is our gift to you from the Glasser Institute for Choice Theory. Every week, we have a member of the faculty tune in to present a concept that Dr. Glasser promoted and taught us and has been very effective in our lives. And today we have, our speaker is Judith Klefman, and her topic is success through quality world picture conflicts. And just in case we have someone watching that is not aware of quality world, as we go through life and we look at all the things that we see in life, we become very selective and we begin to, oh, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to have. And Dr. Glasser termed that as our quality world. And whenever we are fulfilling those pictures that's in our quality world concepts, then the happier and the more smooth our life runs. But every once in a while, life throws a wrench into our well-laid plans. Mm-hmm. And Judith is going to be talking with us about that today. So welcome to all of you and thank you for being here. After her talk, she and I will just talk a minute and then we'll close the airways. And those of you that are here live will have the opportunity to make comments and ask questions. So in the meantime, let's go on and get into our program. So Judith, welcome.
Good morning, everyone.
And are you ready to tell us about the conflict in your quality world pictures?
I am. I'm here at the break of day in Oregon. I'm a night owl who is retired and have reverted back to night owl behavior. And so 8 in the morning is the break of day. Now I know many of you are on other parts of the world. And so this is not the break of day for you, but I appreciate you being up and coming. So I have a couple of questions to start off. Have you ever started your day with a clear idea of what you were going to accomplish? And then at the end of the day, you realize few, if any of the things have been crossed off? What happened? And maybe the day went well, but what about the week? I'm one of those planners, the day, the week, the month, the year, goals all the way along. And then you stop to do an assessment and it's like, what happened? I was going to, this is important to me. What happened? Well, that's what we're talking about. What happened? Because something very specific happened and it's something you have total control over and can easily make a change. So I'm going because many of us were part of weird weather, we'll call it, this past month. And I'll use myself as an example. We had snow and I could go out with a broom and brush it off. Then we got ice. Then we got more snow. Then we had and all through this we had high winds. So I had areas in my yard that had 2 to 3 feet of snow with layers of ice along in there. In the process, I have a large tree in my backyard and I lost 4 big limbs. So I'm looking out at my tree and I'm thinking, well, I'll just go rent a chainsaw. I've got a ladder in the carport. I'll just get up there and take care of it. Well, I mentioned that to my son and daughter-in-law and my granddaughter, and they were horrified. Horrified. You on a ladder? You're not supposed to be on a ladder. You with a chain, you can't, you shouldn't. And I'm like, okay, reality check. I don't even get up on the little 3-step stool with a handrail at the top because I have balance problems. And yet here I am thinking, oh, you just go and you just do and it'll all be done and it'll be fine. No, this is the quality world picture of Judith. I could have done that in my 60s. I did do it in my 30s, 40s, and 50s. I think I could have done it in my 60s. I'm not in my 60s. So here I have a quality world picture of what I can do. Plus I have a core value, a quality world, and that's in of I'm independent. I can take care of myself. I can do these things for myself. And here I am facing the reality that 60-year and younger Judith could do these things. The basically 80-year-old Judith may need to rethink this. And it's not a fun place to be. Not a fun place to be at all. Because we have these, as Mona was saying, quality world pictures. You can also talk about them as a positive self-image. And they are based upon Glasser's basic needs. So people who have a high love and belonging need, relationships are really important. Somebody with a high power need, being independent, important, competent is very important. So I think most of you are very aware of this. So I'm going to say, think about your needs profile. And because that's very important in solving this problem. I have a high power need. I will forego people in order to be competent, to show myself as competent. That's being seen as a competent person, in other words, is more important to me than having a whole bunch of friends. I have other people in my life that if they did not have a whole bunch of friends, well, they do have a whole bunch of friends. They get together on Zoom. They live with families now. And they say, I can't stand this isolation. And I'm like, you're not isolated. Yes, I am. No, you have a spouse, you have kids, you have a dog, you have a cat, you have a bird, whatever. You are not isolated. You don't understand. And then but I do understand. They have a higher love and belonging, a relationship need. And so when they are not able to have all of these people interact in their life the way they're used to, that's a conflict. So for me, having the higher power need, not being able to, once the ice came, shovel my walk, even with the back brace. Oh, and then the snow shovel was several feet from the back door, which I couldn't open because of the foot of snow and ice. So that is not a description of a competent person, I will tell you. A competent person would have got the snow shovel when they first heard that and moved it in the house or to the front porch where they could use it. They would have done all of that prep stuff. However, I'm also somebody who wants to live to be 100. And I do not want to be in a rehab center now, or ever actually, but not now. I want to be independent. I want to take care of myself. So why would I endanger myself? Why would I get a ladder? Why would I rent a chainsaw? Why would I try and do that by myself? So you have the conflict there. You have, I want to be safe on the one hand, and I want to be independent. So how do you do that? You can't. But understanding what the conflict is between your self-image of yourself, my positive self-image of being safe, my positive self-image of being independent, I can look back and say, okay, what is it that I need to do to blend that, to be as safe as possible and as independent as possible? And so when I do workshops on balancing your real life, your writing life with your real life, because I'm an author, one of the things that happens is people say, oh, I was going to write 5,000 words this weekend and I only got 1,000. Oh, well, what were you doing? Well, my kids or my boss or, you know, this power outage would be something people could talk about now. So if you understand what your needs profile is, what your core values are, if you see yourself as a strong family person and an author, and your family needs you for whatever reason, you're not going to get your words in. That just isn't going to happen because you're going to always pick the family. If you see yourself as somebody who is a good neighbor, then if your neighbor comes over and interrupts your day, your planned day, because they have something they want to talk to you about, you're going to put aside what was on your list and talk to your neighbor. Or shovel their walk. If that's up to you. So it's complicated in some ways because it requires us to self-evaluate and self-reflect and to take a look at who we are, what our core values are. Who are we as a person? What are those beliefs that we hold? Realizing that they're ours. That's part of what Glasser called the quality world, part of what I'm also talking about as a positive self-image, how we see ourselves. And so we're not able to just brush it off, and castigating ourselves for not being 100% is not really useful, because at the end of the day, you still have the things on your list that didn't get done. But taking the time to look at, what did I do during the day? Where was my time? And why did I make that choice? Because, as I said in November, all behavior is purposeful. So there is a reason that we make the choices that we do. So on a side note, also we'll say something about those things that we don't want to do, that we still put on the list, because they're things that we should do. Now, for me, that would be housework, which includes cooking, laundry, all of those things. Do I like to eat? Yes. Do I want to sleep on clean sheets? Mm-hmm. Do I want to wear clean clothes? Uh-huh. So, do I want to do these things? Are they connected to a quality world? Not really, because I don't care. There are some things, if it was like liver and onions, I would draw some lines kind of thing. But I like food, and I particularly like food that's fixed for me than food I fix for myself. But I do a trade-off. So I pick a time, and this is the time that I do things that are not need satisfying, but do need to be done. And I sometimes reward myself with a piece of chocolate or something. And then a lot of times I just say, look, you got this crossed off. Good for you. Good for you. And give myself credit for stepping up to do something that I didn't really like to do. And people will say, but you used to. And I would say, yes, I used to bake my own bread, make my own ketchup, can and all of that. Why when I don't like to cook? Well, I did that because I had people in the house and I was the mom or the grandma, and that meant it was my job. One of my core values, going back to how we see ourselves. A good mom sees that her children are fed. A good mom sees that they have clean clothes. A good mom does these things. So to be seen in my own eyes as a competent mom, I did these things, not because I loved it, not because I wanted to, but because doing that then met a quality world or a positive self-image picture for me. So I hope as you go look through your day today and upcoming days, that if you see something that you go, oh, I was going to do that today, that you stop for a second, maybe even a whole minute, and you go, what did I do instead? What positive self-image or quality world picture of myself did I meet by making that choice instead of the other? What view of myself as a contributing person in my family or the world, however you look at that, was the underlying impetus for me making that choice? And once you figure that out, if you haven't already, because I see several people here who've been on this journey with me for a decade or more. Or maybe I see Marty here, and I've known Marty since the 70s, so more than a decade. So I hope this has been useful, and those days when you go to cross things off and more things are still there than not, you go, oh yeah, that's because I took care of doing these tasks, seeing these people. And that was important in the moment for me to do that. And thank you for listening.
Well, thank you, Judith. That was very insightful. I want to kind of reiterate some things that you did say and how you were looking at. I loved how you married the quality world with core values.
Mm-hmm.
That was very insightful. And that whenever you do put those two together and you self-evaluate, you can come up with, you're giving yourself a reality check. Is that what you were doing?
Well, with my example of the tree and the limbs and the chainsaw, I would say yes. Right. And it was not a fun reality check, but a lot of times our reality checks aren't, because we have to make a significant shift in how we see ourselves.
And so in making that significant shift with how you see yourself and your current age, plus your desire to living to 100 plus, you were more than willing to give up the possible danger of climbing onto the roof with the chainsaw.
I actually hired somebody to come take care of it for me. Because I also think I'm a smart person.
Right. And I wrote down here one of the things you said when you were talking about it, you said, if I do want to live to be 100, just I think it was somewhere in there, you said, I cannot be the rogue that you once was of the chainsaw and the tree climbing and the roof.
Right.
So it's self-evaluating and getting honest with ourselves. That is what is no longer within a sane possibility of doing.
And I think one of the challenges, Mona, is to make sure we are doing self-reflection and self-evaluation and not self-criticism.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Self-evaluation and self-adjustment, but not self-criticism.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes hand in hand with you're looking at the list that you wanted to do, but you didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then looking at the why. That goes with the evaluating and adjusting without criticizing. As to what hindered you from doing what you had on your list to do. And then,
it's sometimes one of the things that I remember from way back in the 70s, 1970s, not 1870s, is people would say to me, well, that's too simple. That can't work. It's too simple. And when you think about what I was just talking about, why is it that you did not get done what you wanted to do? And looking at that in relationship to your basic needs and your quality world picture, it is simple. But the devil is in the details, as they say. And it's maybe simple in terms of concept, but it is not simple in terms of manifestation, because we have a lot of messages in our society about what we should do and all of those kinds of things that interfere, that get in the way of that self-evaluation, that self-reflection.
And then you were talking about whenever you do come to a conclusion on the trade-off, that kind of settles the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at your job as being one of your core values.
It's my 2021 challenge for myself is to live more fully within my core values, because when I'm upset, I realize that I'm upset because I made a choice that is not congruent with the core value.
Go back to making those choices.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you encouraged all of us and reiterated it with yourself to always do what I didn't get done that was on my list. What did I do instead of doing that? And to evaluate.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have a good night's sleep.
Be kind to yourself.
Exactly. Sometimes I like to look at be harsh on your behavior, but kind to you. You can be harsh on your behavior of, oh, I really was lazier than I intended to be, or I let something, interfere. Be harsh on that. Let yourself know that don't excuse it, but be kind with yourself. I'm better than that, and I can overcome it. Well, thank you very much for stepping in and for talking with us today. And thank each of you for being here. I'm going to close out the recording, and please stay around and we'll chat with Judith in a one-on-one. Thank you for being here. Have a great week, a great life, and good mental health.